The World Cup kicked off on Thursday, and there seems to be many intriguing storylines pertaining to those countries that begin with the letter I, from the inexplicable rise of Iceland to the inglorious exclusion of Israel. I shall explain. I'm not a soccer fan, but every 4 years I give the so-called beautiful game another shot, much like Charlie Brown believing that this time Lucy will actually hold the football in place. Hope abounds, and disappointment usually takes lead. This time around, I think many of the intriguing storylines pertain to those nations that begin with the letter I. For starters, Italy. Now, Toronto has a huge Italian population, so it just doesn't seem like a typical World Cup tourney, given that Italy, shockingly, failed to qualify this year. Indeed, for the first time in 6 decades, the Azzurri are AWOL, and one can still feel the sadness emanating from the cafes of Hogtown's Little Italy. Yet, how did the winner of 4 previous World Cups fail to make the grade this year? Essentially, the Italian failure speaks to what happens when one embraces nepotism over merit. Italian fans tell me the team's management was way too loyal to veteran players who were too aged to compete in a game that is increasingly beholden to speed. Like the Cormac McCarthy novel, No Country for Old Men, soccer is no sport for old men either. The second I is Iceland. How can a European nation of just 335,000 people possibly be competitive with countries on that continent that boast 20 times that population? You just got to cheer on the statistical anomaly that is Iceland, soccer's version of the NHL's Vegas Golden Knights. Next on the I list, Iran. As a casual fan, the question arises, does one boo Iran due to that country's odious regime, or does one cheer for Iran to show solidarity with the oppressed Iranians, many of whom are pro-West and greatly desire regime change? I'm going to cheer Iran. The Persian population deserves an opportunity to get excited over something in a good way. Besides, I somehow ended up with Iran in the Rebels World Cup pool. The final I is Israel. Alas, Israel, as per usual, is not one of the 32 countries competing in this year's tournament. And this speaks to the everlasting shame of FIFA, the world's governing body of soccer. Even though geographically Israel is situated in the Middle East, incredibly, Israel must qualify for the World Cup as a European team. Why? Well, to appease those Islamist republics in the Mideast that will not share the same pitch with those who the Quran refers to as the sons of pigs and apes. It is an absolute disgrace that FIFA would allow itself to be corrupted by the odious bullies of the Middle East. And it is an added tragedy that Israel, the only true democracy in the Middle East, will likely never qualify for the World Cup given the strength of European teams. Indeed, the hate-on for Israel is so great and the capitulation to bullying is so de rigueur that last week, Argentina canceled its final World Cup exhibition match against Israel. The game was to take place in Jerusalem, but the professional Palestinian protesters, well, they ramped up their rhetoric, stating it was a very bad idea for Argentina to come to Jerusalem. Translation, hey amigos, you don't want to end up going to Russia via air ambulance, do you? Now, what's profoundly sad about that game being canceled is the number of Palestinian soccer fans who were denied a chance to see a world-class soccer powerhouse like Argentina, headed up by a superstar like Lionel Messi. Alas, yet again, the Palestinian leadership have proven they are world-class when it comes to two things: spreading toxic propaganda and spreading around misery for their own people. Even so, apologists argue that if FIFA were to allow Israel to qualify as a Mideast team, there would be a good possibility that all the other countries in that region would boycott the tournament, meaning Israel would be that region's only representative. You want to know something, folks? Works for me. Finally, I have a bonus I, as in I for invoice. My fears were realized on the eve of the current World Cup when North America was selected by FIFA as the host for the tournament in 2026. This means, of course, billions of dollars will have to be invested in building new stadia or upgrading existing playpens, all for a tournament that lasts barely a month and an event that likely won't return for many, many decades to come. And so it is that Canadian, American, and Mexican taxpayers will be on the hook for yet another sporting sinkhole. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 indeed. For the Rebel.media, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies. Hey folks, the Rebel has a brand new app. Please download that app and take the Rebel with you wherever you go.